Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Thursday edition of Today in Sports Betting. This is part two, everybody. We're taking a look at the NFL game tonight. A battle out there, Scott, in the NFC West as the surprising Arizona Cardinals take on the Seattle Seahawks. Number in this one is the Seahawks minus the 3 points. And your total has come down a little bit, Scott. Now stands at 57. Your initial thoughts on this game?
So my initial thoughts on this game were probably the same as everyone's initial thoughts on this game, which is kind of we're going to have to start talking about this. Seattle's line 3.
Well,
Isn't that kind of the – I'm assuming I don't speak for just the two of us. That was the initial reaction of everybody when they saw the initial lines come out.
Well, let's see. They've determined that the home field advantage this season is somewhere between 1.3 and 1.7. So that makes the Cardinals 1.3 to 1.7 worse than the Seahawks. Man,
I don't buy that. At this stage in the season, I don't see that.
The Cards are in first place.
I'm just saying, if Arizona hypothetically was -1, would you really bat an eye about it? Probably not. Based on current form, probably not.
I would definitely bat an eye with Seattle being an underdog at home.
That's fair, but I'm talking about just looking at a line, thinking, is this line right? Is this line off? I think if you looked at -1 or even a pick'em or something like that,
right?
I wouldn't really look at that line and say, well, this is just clearly wrong.
No, you wouldn't just automatically jump on Seattle because they're getting a point or it's a pick 'em.
I'm just saying, I know that people always throw the term around trap line or something like that, which hasn't really applied that much this year at all. It really hasn't worked out. I still remember the Steelers-Ravens game from a couple weekends ago where the Ravens were laying 4.5 against the only undefeated team left in the league, and they lost the game outright. I thought that was just a clear trap line, but that didn't matter in the end because Pittsburgh got all the money. But I don't know. I'm looking at this matchup, and I feel like somebody must know something because it's 3. But the issue I have with that is that Seattle, in the past couple of years, A, has not been that good at home, and B, it's not even the same home field advantage. So if Arizona won the first game in overtime, and that game was a phenomenal game, one of the best games of the season, I don't understand how Seattle's laying 3. Especially after they've had 2 very, very poor showings in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And this offense really isn't the same without Chris Carson. I know that Russ and DK Metcalf get all the publicity, but you've got to have some sort of second dimension, Scott, to take the pressure off the passing game. You can't just let your defensive linemen line up and pin their ears back and come after the quarterback.
So you're not a fan of the makeshift combo of Alex Collins and DJ Dallas? You're not a fan of that 1-2 combo there in the backfield?
You know what? They are what they are. They're not horrible, but they're better than I thought they'd be. But they're not Chris Carson.
I was being half sarcastic.
I know you were.
They've been holding down the fort okay, I guess, but it's not the same as having Carson, who I think is one of the most, if not the most underrated running back in the entire league.
He runs angry, Scott.
So none of people talk about him. In general, he's very, very good. And I know he had some fumbling issues last year, but yeah, he's a menace to tackle inside of the trenches. And he has the ability, especially on short yardage, to move the chains. And in Seattle, I know that the whole game plan this season was to let Russ cook. But when your defense isn't really doing much, or pretty much anything, and your offense is forced to throw the ball 30, 40-something times a game because your running game isn't very good, then you're forced to just sit one-dimensional, and that doesn't exactly work out, especially when your defense is giving up 30-plus points per game.
Well, and before we start hammering the running backs too much, I will say that this is a very, very banged-up offensive line.
Yeah, I'm not blaming the running backs currently on the roster for the reason why they're losing, but I do think that even if you had Carson, you could potentially at least try to win the time possession battle if you wanted to try to take some pressure off the defense, keep them off the field. But without Carson there, assuming he's not going to play, he's listed as questionable, most likely doubtful. Right. But assuming he's not going to be able to play, I think you'll agree with me that that's just going to cause the defense to be on the field more because Seattle most likely will not be able to run the ball with that much early success in the early downs.
Now, again, and the motto this season has gone from let Russ cook to let Russ run for his life, because he has been under pressure the last 4 games, and the last 2 games especially. The Rams sacked him 6 times last week. They got him 5 times the week before that. In this game a month ago, Arizona put him on the ground with a sack just twice, but they hit him 9 times. So this is a defense that can get after Russ, and it's all Russell Wilson at this point, and who he can get the ball to. DK Metcalf, had he's kind of had his coming out party this year. Of course, you got that highlight of him chasing down
Budda Baker.
Budda Baker, yeah, the safety. So
hell of a player. But
yeah, and somebody I wouldn't have considered that slow. But next time DK Metcalf is chasing somebody and you're escorting your guy down the field, might want to put a hat on him. Just saying.
It felt like a National Geographic special where you had the predator and the prey, and you just see him sprinting over like 100 miles an hour.
You know how this is going to end.
You know it's going to end, but you can't look away.
And the sad part about that is Arizona got no points out of that.
No, they turned it over on 4th down.
Yeah, turned it over on 4th down, went for it, and did not get it. So Scott, this is a.
Well, first of all, before we continue to dive in a little bit more, we talked about Metcalf as a receiver who got held pretty much in check against Patrick Peterson the first time playing. The one guy who went off was Tyler Lockett, who had basically 200 yards receiving and 3 receiving touchdowns, and he's expected to play, but he's dealing with a knee injury now, so there's serious concern about how healthy he actually is. Right. I'm assuming you're in agreement with me that after the ridiculous performance he had the first time and the current injury, Arizona is going to be game planning for him, especially in this matchup.
Yeah, I was surprised they let him go off like that. I really thought Drake or Patrick was going to be a little more competent at the other corner, but he didn't. He struggled. He struggled with Lockett. He was a hell of a receiver, K-State alum, by the way, and. Yeah, if they don't have him at 100%, this is going to be a tough slog for Seattle, because, like you said, they held DK Metcalf 2 catches, 23 yards. That's going to be his low output of the season. So it was a struggle for him. The highlight for DK Metcalf was when it was the defensive one. So
the game-winning touchdown in overtime, but it was called back on holding, so that happened as well.
Right. Very good point. The good news for Seattle, they're 4th in the league in rush defense. Scott, does that impress you?
I believe no, because if you're watching the college football video, we were talking about before is how some statistics can be misleading.
Yep.
Because they might not be good against the run. It's just that they're so bad against the pass. Why would any team ever run against them?
That's exactly right. They give up just 95 yards a game, and because teams find no reason to run the ball whatsoever.
So I'm sure people have heard this before, but if you have not, you should probably sit down before hearing this. So Seattle, this season, is currently giving up 364.7 passing yards per game. Now, I know at first glance you're thinking, all right, that's really bad. That's almost 400 yards passing per game. They're on pace to beat the all-time record by about 50 yards.
Yeah.
That's almost impossible. How do you do that?
They're not even close.
And they traded for Jamal Adams. It's not like they didn't try to do something to the secondary. I know that Adams has missed a decent amount of games, but when he came back, they haven't gotten much better. I know last week against Goff had about 250 at the first half mark, and then he did nothing in the second half. But
yeah, he was my fantasy quarterback last week, so yeah, I'm aware of Goff's shortcomings.
Didn't help that every touchdown the Rams had was also a rushing touchdown. But you had Allen the week prior went for about 400. Seems like every quarterback goes for about 400. Kyler in the first meeting had about 400. Seattle's they can stop the run. Congratulations, because they're giving up free 10 yards every pass attempt that they allow. So it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, they're doing it legit too, because they're 28th in the league in yards per catch. They're first in the league in number of passes thrown against it. Nobody faces more passes than Seattle. Mm-hmm. And they've allowed 69% of those passes to be completed, which is 30th in the league. So,
yeah, so your secondary is all-time terrible.
Yeah.
And you're facing off against one of the hottest quarterbacks in the league who's back in the MVP discussion.
But wait, there's more, Scott, because They're going to be missing their starting cornerbacks out of that defense. They're going to be missing Griffin, and they're going to be missing Quentin Dunbar.
Now, my question for you is, if the starting cornerbacks are out on that defense, is that automatically an upgrade? I'm joking because they're actually talented players, but
yeah,
the current corners weren't getting it done anyway. I don't know if that really matters.
That's the thing. I'd take Shaquille Griffin over just about any corner in the NFL. I think he's top 10. How about that?
I was going to say, I think the first statement's a little high. I think that top 10s, I guess, are reasonable. I got to think in my head which corners I would list ahead of him. I could think of a couple on the top of my head. But for the most part, on paper, the players have been pretty good. But for some reason,
you think Griffin's better than Patrick Peterson?
I'd say no.
No, you don't think so?
I don't think so. Truth is, I always thought Patrick Peterson was a little bit overrated.
Yep.
But I still acknowledge how talented he actually was. But I did think that people would group him in the same like Revis category in the younger part of his career, and I just never saw it because Revis was the greatest coverage corner I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
People would just group him together automatically. So I never agreed with, but I still believe that he was a very, very good, probably a future Hall of Fame cornerback. So I would probably lean to Peterson anyway.
Jalen Ramsey, best cornerback in the NFL?
Oh, he's definitely up there. I know Gilmore's had a bit of a down year. I'm a big Stephon Gilmore guy when healthy, but you also have Tre'Davious White from Buffalo, who's very good as well. You have a lot of options there at the cornerback spot for some really good ones.
I'll tell you what, if you want to watch fun, watch Ramsey shut down DK Metcalf last week. That was quite a battle. And,
Ramsey is something else, and I know that people will always trash talk him for him demanding all the money and him forcing his way out of Jacksonville. And yeah, how's that working out for Jacksonville? I think Ramsey was right when he said he wanted to get out of there, but there's a lot of good corners, and Peterson already shut Metcalf down once. I'm not saying he's automatically going to shut him down again, but he has shown the blueprint on what to do. Yep. And I do think that if Lockett is not going to be there, or he's not going to be as sharp as he should be when he is there, and you're also going to be missing Carson, Seattle's really still laying 3.
Yeah, I agree. It's I've got a side on the premium, Scott. And I do have a play of the day on the total, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Like -3, we talked about before, is like, maybe if they're healthy, but they're not healthy. That's why I feel like the lines haven't even adjusted to the injuries that are taking place for Seattle. You mentioned their starting corners being out. Their running back's not going to play. Their wide receiver, the one who torched the Arizona in the first meeting, is not at 100%. And yet the sports books are just acting like, it's Arizona on the road against Seattle. Seattle -3. I don't get it.
Yeah, there is some Arizona money coming in. So right now, if you're taking Arizona, you're laying 122. So it's possible that game could get down to 2.5. Although, man, it is hard to push national games off of key numbers. It really is. If you like the Seahawks, I would be patient. If you think the Seahawks are going to cover that number, I'd be patient. It's a possibility you might get 2.5 later. And of course, if you get 2.5, there's a good chance you're going to get 2. So, but I don't know. I don't know that there won't be a buyback before that happens. We'll see.
For this number, I'm leaning Arizona. Okay. I talked about it before, or I alluded to it before, but just specifically, this line with all the injuries for Seattle make absolutely no sense. So for that reason, it might look a little bit weird. Trap lines have not really worked out so far this season for the odds makers, from what I've noticed, but it's also, once again, you can't read into that and assume what's going to happen this week, so that doesn't really matter. But I just think Arizona's the team in better form, and they're also the healthier team, so I'm going to lean to Arizona right now.
Okay, thoughts on the total?
Anytime you take it under with Seattle, you kind of want to cry for about 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Potentially 70 minutes, because they went to overtime the first time. But I guess I'm going to lean over. I'm not going to immediately sprint to the window to take, because I do think more under money is going to be on the way. But you're going to be sitting there in the first quarter and just seeing Murray and Wilson just run around doing a bunch of nonsense. And you're going to say to yourselves, why did I take the under again? It happens every Wilson game. You're just looking, you have the under in your pocket. Wilson avoids a sack, avoids 3 guys, fires it for 60-something yards. And you're going, why can't you do that when I bet on you? But when I bet the under, you just have to torch me. You know what I'm talking about?
Of course I do. Yeah, I'm a sports bettor, so I know what you're talking
Of
about.
course, that's no way to view a game. I'm just saying, based on these two quarterbacks and the defenses, I don't think Arizona's defense is very good either. And Arizona's defense has not played well the last couple of weeks. I have to lean to the over with these two quarterbacks and these two defenses because Arizona gave up the last 3 games. They gave up 34 to Seattle, 34 to Miami, and 30 against Buffalo. So they're not really stopping anybody. I know the first meeting was 37-34 in overtime. I think that this game will be a little bit more low scoring because of the fact that this game is going to be outdoors instead of the indoors in Arizona. That was for the first meeting. But I think you're looking at 33-30, give or take. So I'm going to lean to the over again because neither defense has shown me lately they can really stop anybody.
Okay.
So I'm personally going to lean over, but I'm not going to rush to the window because I do think this line will keep dropping.
All right, good enough. All right, my friend, that's it. That's our Thursday night game. I guess we're just we should count our blessings that we don't have anybody from the AFC South involved,
Or the NFC East,
or the oh my God, yes, or the NFC East, yeah. Not shiver me timbers.
Mm-hmm.
All right, buddy, that's going to do it for this one. Any final thoughts?
No, I'm happy that Thursday Night Football actually has a matchup that I'm looking forward to on the calendar, which means obviously that one of these teams is going to win by 25. Because every time on Thursday night you're expecting a good matchup, you never get it. That's all I'm saying. It never works out that way.
Yeah, they even carried it when Kansas City played Buffalo. You're like, well, that's going to be a great game. They even carried that over till the next Monday, and it still had that Thursday stink to it, as Buffalo had absolutely nothing.
I thought last week's game was going to be good, and it wasn't. If you look through all the Thursday night games, you've had a couple of good ones, but on paper, Packers 49ers. You're looking through a couple of weeks early thinking, this is a matchup right here. And then you look up and you realize, I don't know if San Francisco would beat Alabama. it was not fun.
No.
Thursday night rarely delivers when it comes to a high-profile matchup actually being competitive throughout. First of all, because you don't really have many high-profile matchups on Thursday night. But if there was going to be a matchup that would deliver, it would be this one. Because these two teams historically are always very, very close in the fourth quarter. Always.
Yep, they do play tight.
So I hope that that's the case. Because if I look up and I see Arizona or Seattle's up 3 touchdowns early, I'm going to be bothered because I really would much rather watch this game than Tulsa-Tulane. No offense to Tulsa-Tulane.
I'll have them both on, my friend. I do not discriminate. So
I'm not discriminating either. I'm just saying that I had the choice between Michael Pratt, Zach Smith, or Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray. I'm going to go with option B.
Different kind of game. You can't compare quarterbacks between two of the best that are in the NFL right now and 2 guys that are in college. I mean, come on.
Oh, no, it's a terrible comparison. I'm just saying that from an entertainment perspective, I'd much rather watch Wilson and Murray play.
All right, fair enough. Why do you only watch one game? You can watch 2 games, right? Don't you have
I do have 2 eyes, so if I just spread them out a little bit, then I could just have one eye on each.
Like a TV and a computer.
Oh no, I'm hitting the last button all the time. I'm switching off. I'm not actually going to only watch one game or the other, but I like to have at least one game that's my primary hub, where I'll leave one game on, where I'll leave on most of the time. But in between plays, penalty stuff, I'll just start flicking.
All right. Well, you can get one of them on your computer and one of them on your TV.
Yeah. You're telling me how to use technology?
Yeah, I am.
Well, that's a bold move by
you. If you're flipping back and forth like it's 1986 or something, yeah, I guess I am.
Oh, I do keep that in mind, but
okay.
I'm more interested in the Seattle-Arizona game.
If you need my ESPN Plus sign-in information, let me know. It's $5 a month, so.
I have ESPN, so that's fine.
Okay.
I have ESPN, so I'm pretty sure I'm good to go on that front.
You have ESPN Plus?
That I actually do not have, but at the end of the day, I don't know if it really matters.
Really, with all the UFCs? Oh, because you just rip the UFC stuff. I see. Okay.
I have no comment on that at this time.
All right, good enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for our show today. If you want an even deeper dive, and I'm talking deep dive, make sure you check out winnersandwhiners.com. They do the deepest dives around every single day. And Monday and Thursday, especially on the national games, you will find no more information anywhere on the interwebs than at winnersandwhiners.com. So make sure you check that out as well. If you need more opinions of what Scott and I don't know why you would, but if you want to find out even more stats, more great matchup info, that's the place to be. So hope you guys have a great day. Got a couple games, should have a little bit of fun. Got some decent weather across most of the country, so enjoy that today. And yeah, hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money back at the window. For myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at winnersandwhiners.com, appreciate you watching today. And you guys take care. We'll see you tomorrow on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody.